Hi there. I was asked to explain myself further, and I will gladly do so on the topic of why the debt that we have, the negative money that's in the world, is completely meaningless, and we should not respect it. Just imagine that, for some reason there was this situation in which the whole world was trying to work off that debt that the banks have, which is several times, if about 10 to 15 times the world GDP. So it would take a long time to do so. If you, of course, you have to live also. So everybody was working diligently to pay that stuff off to the bankers, and etc. And suddenly there was this world war, plague, a meteorite impact, and let's say half the food supply was destroyed. And there was massive chaos, and people were just couldn't do anything. And for instance, let's say for 100 years there was really no Western society left. After 100 years, enough people recovered and tried to rebuild it. Do you think that those people would give a damn about the debt that we have right now? No, not at all. It's just like a currency from 100 years ago that nobody wants to use anymore. It's just completely and utterly meaningless. These debts, they are created, and I try to explain that they have been created simply to get the energy from Saudi Arabia, because you had a petrodollar, and the petrodollar meant that you could always buy oil with dollars. And so now you have a situation in which an American can print a dollar, and pretend they're going to pay it back to the Federal Reserve, which has never been the plan. So they get the money from the Federal Reserve, the paper, and they buy, let's say they had $33 for a barrel of oil. They got they printed $33, and they went to Saudi Arabia and they get a barrel of oil. They took it home and they drove their car for a month, or they let the machine run and make all kinds of pancakes and stuff, and all these goods and services that they had, they enjoyed it for those 33 paper dollars that they gave the Saudi Arabians and then every now and then they built, let's say, a big SUV or a big car or an airplane or a rocket or a missile, and they gave it to the Saudi Arabians, and they were really happy about it. And when the Saudi Arabians started complaining about it, the US said, well, we can sell you the missile, but we can also just throw it on your head. You can just choose. You have your choice. You're like, how many are you? You're like the royals, like a few hundreds of royals in Saudi Arabia. We can take care of that. That's not a problem at all. That's the way things go in the world. It's pretty clear that that's the way things go. And so that simply means that the money has been created to get that process going, and to basically, if you have the formula E is people times a factor, energy is people times a factor, energy affords you to sustain a number of people, and then the factor is how efficient do you do that, and how sustainable do you do that, and etc. What does the land add? Because of course, the earth is a productive thing for humans. Then you can see that if you have enough, you can print enough money and go into debt all the time because you don't care about it, and you get as much energy as you like, that there's no limit to the number of people that will come about, and that's how you get the US consumer base. And the same reason is that's how you get US consumption, because all those people they need stuff and they have to make it, and those machines have to turn, but no problem, you just print dollars, bring them to Saudi Arabia, and they're gonna be good for oil. And that's how the debt was created. And when they found out that the deficits became a problem and people took that seriously, then they went to the consumer and they put the consumer into debt, and then they thought of derivatives and they created lots of debt with derivatives, and they collateralized debt obligations and packaged mortgages. Of course, they created the housing bubble, because that's great. You just tell people that the house will increase in value. So you have a house, you build it, and then for some reason, and you're building many, many houses, but so for some reason the house that you own increases in value, while you have to maintain it and it's degrading all the time. See, you have a choice. You can believe that, or you can say, that can be true. And of course it can be true, but It's just like magic tricks or hypnosis, basically. If you are able to convince your subject that what you say is going to happen, then they start trusting you. And if they trust you, then you can go on and make all kinds of stuff up. So how did the banks convince the people that the houses actually increased in value? Well, every time they sold a new house, they made it easier to borrow more money by simply in the contract making sure that the owner of the house, the future owner of the house, would own less of that house. So in Holland, in the beginning, we get a mortgage for the whole house, and now if you get a mortgage, you only get a mortgage to pay the interest on the debt. And at the end of the runtime, you don't have the house at all. You have the same debt as you had at the beginning. But of course, because now you only pay the interest and not the debt, you have more money to spend, or you need less money to afford that loan. So the loan size goes up, and the house prices goes up, and that's the magic trick. That's how you create the illusion that house prices go up, and everybody believes it. They're not thinking. And that you create the money that you bring into circulation by that, because every time you sell a house of 100,000 euros for 300,000 euros in created debt, you simply put that money into circulation. That ends up at the gas station and in an oil country to buy energy, etc., etc. But after all that process has gone and there's no more oil to buy, and the natural resources are depleted, the debt is useless. It's meaningless, and it should be cancelled. So maybe I explain myself a little bit better, and if I haven't, then let me know.